No.
I'd like a bring of peach tea. Snooze, lose,
No peach.
no peach.
What we do, 3 different. No.
I'd like a bring of peach tea. Snooze, lose,
No peach.
Yeah, that's
no
gonna be a
peach.
little bit of time stuff. Just
What we do, 3 different. No.
I'd like a bring of peach tea. Snooze, lose,
No peach.
yeah, that's
no
gonna be a
peach.
little bit of time stuff. Just
What we do, 3 different. No.
I'd like a bring of peach tea. Snooze, lose,
No peach.
yeah, that's
no
gonna be a
peach.
little bit of time stuff. Just
Everything over again, that's funny.
okay.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to our session today.
It's gonna be a little different than we first had planned.
In addition to the ways it'll be different, we have a special guest with us today. Our long time friend, known him since kindergarten, about 5-6 years ago. Sam Mercado from Sam Mercado Salon, Soho, and Upper West Side of New York. Formerly from, and always in his heart, from Louisiana. And probably more than most of you know, not only is he the reason why I met Paul Mitchell and John Paul, and also the reason why I met my wife, also the reason why PSC started and worked with Mercado for years and years and years as a company.
28 years, right?
Oh, God. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I thought about yesterday while Sam was on stage. He was here yesterday to do a program. And while he was here, I just kept thinking about all of the different ways that Sam has influenced my life and things that are in my life because of him. Because he looked up and took a chance on friendship with me. And I thought about the kids movie. Of course, we live in kids movies. The kids movie Bolt. And in
Have you
this
seen Bolt? It's a good one, Sam.
in this movie, there's this really cynical cat that befriends this dog that's lost and trying to find his way back. And he believes so much in his owner. And the cat was cynical all the way. And at the very end, the cat was changed and said, you know, that person is your person. Your owner is your person. Every dog has a person. And, you know, and I thought about that when it came to Sam from a business standpoint, from a personal standpoint. Sam, in so many cases in my life, has been my person. And so to share him with all of you is really, really special.
So why don't you tell the story really quick how you two met, because I love that story.
Well, we actually met. The first time I ever heard Sam's name was on a TV program called PM Magazine.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they were following a hairdresser whose name I don't remember, the guy from Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
At the World Championship of Hairdressing at the Royal Albert Hall in London. And then they did all the behind the scenes story and all the model prep and everything. They're following this guy. And they showed you the event itself.
So
And it got
that's
to
why
the
you
finale.
got
where
your
the awards-
attention immediately.
It got my attention. All of a sudden, when it came time to announce, the TV audience is all expecting to be this gentleman from Fort Worth. And they said, Sam Mercado, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
And I was leaning next to him and his model. It was my model, and we were just sort of together. And it was focused on that couple. And then all of a sudden, whoop, and wow.
Exactly.
What a moment.
And I wrote down in my book, I said, this is going to be the headliner for next year's educational program that I was just getting ready to produce. And a week later, found myself down in Dallas, Texas, at Zig Ziglar's Born to Win program, about 175 of us in a room. And the very first exercise of the day was to memorize everybody's names, first and last names. And you did that by noon, 175 people, which was pretty remarkable. And about 6 or 7 rows in front of me, this gentleman stands up and he says, I'm Sam Mercado from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
What a small world, huh?
And I thought, you know, there's just no accidents. So very first coffee break, I ran over to Sam and introduced myself. I'll never forget, Sam was wearing his hair down in his face at
There
that
was more
time.
of it, and it was the same thing here. It was just more.
And so he's drinking coffee, and I'm introducing myself, and he's blowing the hair up out of his eyes as we're talking. And as soon as he heard I was a distributor, he wanted nothing to do with me, because he was a hairdresser and cool, and I was just the guy that comes around selling products. And so my way of introducing failed. So we went to the next level, which was in the afternoon, they counted off in sixes, typical room. All the ones are a pair, are a team, all the twos, all the threes, etc. Well, as fate would have it, Sam and I wound up on the same team for the rest of the Born to Win program for the rest of the week, and that's where our friendship really began.
Yeah, we met Holly also.
Well,
right?
Holly
She
on
came
graduation night.
Yeah, she flew
Yes,
in
Holly
for
McCurry.
graduation. Holly McCurry, that's right, my wife. So funny.
He was the only one out of the whole 175 people
Dressed in all black.
who had a date join him for the graduation.
In Dallas, Texas, no less.
And of course, she was hot. So here's this hairdresser, hot date, only one with the date. Enough said.
The way we operate.
Good for you.
It's funny, I was looking in the mirror this morning at the hotel, and I was looking, I had this mirror that hangs in my face, and I was thinking, maybe I'll comb it back and make it a little more controlled. I thought, nah, I'll just let it fall. What's left of it, I'll just, I kind of thought about it.
Maybe you get extra credit.
I really thought about you talking about me. Look at my hair, and there it is. It's been a great relationship, and I really think that one thing that everybody needs to always remember is life is about relationships and friendships, and it's business too, but to the degree that you can live up to the promise of a friendship and try to always go back and remember, how did it start? What is this about? And nurturing the roots of that friendship, then you can always build it and grow on it, because at the end of the day, it becomes about this small circle of influence, because we really all have, I think, a relatively small family of friends. That needs to be really different. And in the professional salon industry, what's so amazing is at the salon level, you guys have such a tight relationship with so many owners, where a person like myself that actually does hair all these years later behind the chair, we have deep roots not only with you as a supplier, but also with our guests and customers that sit in the chair. It just is such a connected way of doing business when you really think about this difference with other industries. So very fun.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
So let's get the topic at hand taken care of,
All right.
and then we'll have time with Sam, okay?
Perfect.
All right, so we're talking about applications that make a difference. Now, this is not my strength. I open apps and then I never use them again, because I think, oh, I need that, that's a good one. And then I don't even remember what it looks like, where it's at, and I usually have to call Brian or Steve and say, help me out here, I don't know what I did, don't know what I'm doing.
And we don't know what you did or what you're doing.
Yeah, that's true, because I don't know how to repeat the story of what I did or what I'm doing. So anyway, let's go back to what happens in most cases. And the first time I heard this, it made so much sense to me. And every day we go to work, we don't come home and say, my gosh, I was so inconsistent today. We come home with a feeling of, I was so frustrated. My decision-making, I was frustrated. The way that the business flowed today, it felt like I was apologizing more than I was able to thank people. And the frustrations is what I have to respond to. Remember, as a leader, there's two things we do on a daily basis. We respond and we celebrate. And we're responding to what changes or redirection needs to take place, or we're celebrating on the things that we're doing well, and we're moving forward. Now, if we don't address these frustrations, and the frustrations could be things that need to be changed system-wise, excuse me, maybe it's our services, maybe it's people. Usually our frustrations lie with delivery of dialogue, delivery of explanation, delivery of defending what we do, how we do it, and who we do it for. So frustrations usually lie in people. That's why training and development is so important, ongoing. If we don't address these frustrations, we settle. And if we settle, we lose. And so what frustrations are we working on right now? What are the frustrations? If we don't address them, we're going to settle and lose. So we have to address them. And And I like what the expression of the Cubs general manager, is he coach?
She's the manager.
Manager. He
Joe
said,
Madden.
yeah, I like him very much. And he said last year, people will not like me for a moment while I'm redirecting them or coaching them. You know, that's uncomfortable. They won't like me for a moment. And then as we get by that, we'll get by that. But they'll hate me forever if I wasn't honest with them, right? Because I, as a coach, have a chance to change them and mold them and help them. So an uncomfortable moment, risking an uncomfortable moment to bring out the best in someone is uncomfortable now. Compromise is uncomfortable forever. And we've talked about that before. And so there's a new beer commercial out saying, if you compromise on taste, then you can taste the compromise. And I love that new beer now. Isn't that a good one? But that's true in business too.
That's what integrity is.
That's right.
Integrity is really about, it's not what you do when everyone's around, it's what you do when no one's around.
Right.
And you put the good stuff into your life when no one's around, and then when all of a sudden there are a lot of people around, they sense that there's some good stuff in this person or
That's
this
right.
business.
Or this hairdresser, or this front staff,
Yeah,
or this
yeah.
salon. You can just feel the commitment, right?
The thing I'm thinking about on this particular slide is choice. We choose where we sit on this slide. If we're staying in the frustration, it almost becomes like an infinity loop, just going around and around and around and around. We stay in that frustration. The same things frustrate us every day.
Been there? Yep.
The choice is, do we get off of that infinity loop, take the exit ramp, and go to settle? It just doesn't bother us that much anymore. We choose not to be frustrated about it. The phrase, it is what it is, we settle, and then ultimately we lose. Or we get off on the other exit ramp, which is looking for the inconsistencies. What are the inconsistencies in our business, in our relationships, in our customer service? What are the inconsistencies that brought about that frustration? Too much of the time, we don't look backwards to see where did that frustration come from, and then choose to fix it at that level.
So let's give some examples of that in the salon world.
Well, I think a constant frustration is, when I think of the most consistent frustrations, that we don't have enough staff or the right staff. I think another one is
Training and development.
Yeah, training and development, timeliness, dialogue, all of those types of things.
Staff meetings, connection, advanced education.
Frustration of time.
Right.
Leaders and owners are constantly frustrated that they don't have enough time to address, or they think they don't have enough time to address these various things and actually fix them. But by thinking that, you're choosing to stay on that infinity loop of frustration. We can either make excuses, which we all have done, my goodness.
Yes.
I have my list of excuses. Or we can say, you know what, let's get off of this and see if we can fix these inconsistencies.
Sam?
I think that the biggest thing that's missing salon leadership, and there are people that want to own a business, they want to operate a salon, but once they get into it, they realize, well, this is very complex, and they confuse being a busy, great hairstylist with being a leader and an owner. And so my observation personally, having started from scratch again, in arguably one of the most competitive markets in the world, and finding a degree of success and trying to figure out how to go to the next level even still, is that the thing that worked best for Holly and I, because we've really done this in lockstep, is that we've explored our ability to be transparent, loving, compassionate, but tough conversation leaders, and holding ourselves accountable for the productivity of the business, the numbers, the people, whether they were true team members. We had an incident 2 years ago where we literally took the #1 top person and said, we have to ask you to leave. And you're talking about a person doing hundreds, over $200,000 a year in volume. And it was just not a fit. Now that's an extreme case, but I think there are not enough people that not only won't do that, they don't know how, and they want to move from being a good hairdresser or even just being a hair salon owner into leadership. I think that's probably one of the most things you talk about, the frustration, is you get into it and you get frustrated, and you have to pull back and really study the business. And there's two parts of it. One is just the pure fact that business is about the basics. It's about payroll and rent and marketing and human relationships and all. And those things are the same whether you're running a smoothie shop or you're running a furniture store or hair salon. Those things are all similar. And then the next piece is, what is the culture and nature of the industry I've chosen? And taking those two components and really becoming a student of those things and do it on a regular basis, the same way that person learned to be a good hairdresser.
Mhm.
And finding your way out of that loop, that infinity loop, which is interesting to use that because infinity loop really is where creativity comes from. It really is a place where if you really pay attention to it, there's creativity in that infinity loop because you expand upon life to just keep going on and on and on. You expand upon it, but at the same time, you get stuck in
You
there.
get stuck bad.
You know, anyway, so that's kind of my.
No, it's good, really good. All right, so here we do. Do your homework on you, what gets in your way. And that's time for you to sit down and really have an honest conversation, what gets in the way from you. And a lot of times, we need to do a SWOT analysis on ourselves, which is the strengths that we have, the weaknesses. Many times, if we had to say on a scale of 1 to 10, most of the time owners come into us and say their biggest weaknesses are their time management. They don't know how to get it all done. And the biggest thing is what needs to be done today, what needs to be done tomorrow, this week, this month. And I just was with an owner just recently where we changed her staff schedules, and she was really, really spinning her wheel in a way that was at the expense of her family time, at the expense of her as a hairdresser, as an owner. And she said, I'm there so much, but I don't have time to get anything done. Or I'll run out, and if I go to my son's ball game, I'll come back and work 3 hours to make up for it. But it's willy-nilly. There's no set schedule. So anyway, I asked her, what are the hours of your salon? And it took us 20 minutes to get that out of her because she makes so many exceptions. So I said, okay, that's it. Let's just put a schedule in place. I said, when do you do payroll? I said, okay, we'll do that on Thursday. When do you do social media? Okay, let's do that on Wednesday morning. And when do you do staff meetings? And so we put a schedule in place because she has to live, as an owner, you have to live like a schedule. And what I mean by that is hairdressers are some of the best scheduled people there are, right?
Have to be.
All right,
Yeah.
with your customer.
Yeah.
But you're not a good schedule person
Right,
with yourself.
right, yeah.
So we turned in social media into a service type, right? We have to think of it as you're gonna do social media like it's a cut and color for 2 hours on Wednesday mornings. And everyone's gonna know, and I said, you're gonna get this right when your kids say, is this payroll day, Mom? Because you're gonna be so set to your schedule that everyone's gonna know. And she just felt like 1,000 pounds were lifted off her shoulders, and we're gonna try to protect Sunday and Monday. And I could see her feeling at ease because she never knew where she was gonna fit it in. She did payroll when she could fit it in, not with a schedule. So her SWOT analysis, and that's not uncommon. How often do we hear that?
Well, I just think anytime I see you put up on a slide, Terry, about a to-do list, I always think that we also have to address the human need of being. We need a to-be list. You know, we talked about that before in this. And,
What are you gonna be,
and the reminder is that we're human beings, not human doings. So much of the time today, with the speed of our society and the way that information comes at us, and the fact that we can be surrounded by business 24/7, we can be surrounded by texts from our employees, texts from our clients, information. Got to get on Facebook to see what our clients, what our staff's doing, what are they posting, what are they not posting, all of these different things that happen. We spend all of our time being human doings. And that, at the end of the day, isn't always what makes our hearts sing and always what makes us happy as human beings.
Well, what happened? Oh, can we show this?
Yeah.
let's look at it. This is a YouTube clip that I saw, and I rather enjoyed it.
Do you find yourself really easily distracted? You ever have those days where you're really ready to do some work and be productive, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, what? I'm Snapchatting this right now. Just gonna send just one quick, I'm just gonna send out a tweet. What's happening on Instagram? Ooh, who just tweeted me? Did I send that email? Sound familiar? I am so easily distracted, but I've found a few apps and websites that are absolute lifesavers and time savers. So in this video, I'm gonna share my favorite productivity apps and tips to help you stay focused. One of the best productivity tips that I've ever heard is don't check your email first thing in the morning. It's really hard to do because it's much easier to just grab your phone off your bedside table or grab your phone as soon as you get out of bed and check your email, Facebook, Twitter, whatever else. The problem with that is it puts you in this reactive state where you want to respond to people and you want to take care of all the items in those emails. So that doesn't allow you to actually focus on the bigger projects you have at hand that day. So my number one tip is don't check your email first thing in the morning. And when you do check your email, manage it in a way that it's not overwhelming for you. And one of the best tools for that is called Unroll.me. So you know all those newsletters and emails you're subscribed to that you get almost every single day or once a week? They add a lot of clutter to your inbox. So instead of getting these individual messages in your inbox, what Unroll.me does is it allows you to create a list of those subscriptions and compile them into just one single email every single day. So it saves space in your inbox and saves you a little bit of sanity. Another email lifesaver is Boomerang. It's an extension that you add to your browser and it works with Gmail. So when you get messages in your inbox, you can check them and make them disappear until you want them to reappear in your inbox. So if you're one of those people like me who likes your inbox at 0, this is definitely a must-have. It keeps your inbox clean and tidy and allows you to address emails when you actually want to rather than needing to in the moment. And also a great feature of Boomerang is it lets you schedule your replies. So you can write full emails and schedule them to be sent at a later date or time. And I've expressed my love for Ifttt on several occasions, but I'll do it again in this video. This is one of my favorite apps. And basically what it does is it creates recipes that make shortcuts between a bunch of the different apps that you use on your phone. So a couple of my favorites I've mentioned in this video up here, and I'll put the link below this video as well, but everything from automating birthday messages on Facebook or congratulations messages on LinkedIn or changing Instagram photos to Twitter images. There's so many little shortcuts that are so valuable, so make sure you check out this app. And when you really need some extra help and can't seem to control your urges to check social media, then you can use things like self-control on Mac and cold turkey on PC. And if you really want to take things up a notch, you can actually pay for a program called Antisocial. Basically what these sites do is they blacklist social media sites for a set period of time, so you physically cannot access them and you have to focus on your work at hand. Evernote is an all-time favorite for me as well. It allows me to organize my notes, create checklists, and also communicate with clients, coworkers, and subcontractors in a really easy, seamless way. There's a ton more functionalities on this app, but I highly recommend it. And my friend Steve Dotto has several videos explaining how to get the most out of Evernote. So I'll link to those videos below here, and you can also check out this video right here from Steve. And one of my tried and true tools is Hootsuite. There's lots of different functionalities I love about Hootsuite, but probably the most productive part of Hootsuite is being able to schedule your content ahead of time, especially on Twitter. So instead of having to be on Twitter all day long looking for tweets to send out in real time, every morning I go in and check my top industry publications and my Twitter lists, and I'll schedule my retweets and my tweets throughout the day to keep my Twitter account active and informative, but to give myself the freedom to not be on Twitter 24/7. There's also the bulk scheduler in Hootsuite, which allows me to schedule key brand messages over months or even over the next year. And you can do it through the template that they provide you with. And for example, I'll use it to schedule my YouTube videos over the next couple of months. And basically you put them in the spreadsheet, upload it to Hootsuite, and it will schedule in however many messages you want all at one time. Another tool I use for collaboration is Google Drive. So I'll upload documents into Google Drive and have my teammates or my clients be able to contribute to those documents and make edits on them. And so it makes this really collaborative workspace. I also use Dropbox, but I find that Google Drive's functionality is a little easier to use. So I highly recommend it for sharing documents and getting other people's input on your work. And if you have a hard time remembering all of your different passwords, you have to try Lastpass. It manages all of your passwords and autofills them on the accounts and sites that you use, but it also generates really difficult random passwords instead of you creating your passwords yourself, which might be easy to guess and can compromise your security. Those are my favorite productivity tips, apps, and websites, and I'll leave links to everything I mentioned below this video, but I also want to hear yours. So what do you use on a day-to-day basis to help you?
Okay, so here's one of the main reasons I showed it. I thought there was a lot of great insight.
It really was.
And now that I showed it, I have to hold me accountable to that list. And Brian's sitting in here, so I want him to help me go through that list, because it was too fast for me. I mean, I'd rather lay in the street than have to do what they just did on there. But that's how you're feeling too, that these things will help us, these tools and these suggestions. And that means that our staff needs some training time from Brian on everything that was just listed, because it was quick, but there's a great deal of information in that, right?
Yeah, a lot.
I think immediately, even if as a salon or stylist, you just start with Hootsuite. I mean, you got to begin somewhere, but I know just managing all your social activity in one spot and being able to schedule it versus feeling like you've always got to pick it up and respond. I saw a thing on Facebook this morning, interestingly enough, that was kind of like news bulletin. You don't have to respond to every post that you don't agree with on Facebook.
Definitely.
I thought, how many
fear
people do that? They almost feel like it's their obligation to jump into the conversation.
Well, you don't have to like everything either.
That's right.
Right? So these are also ones where these are 5 apps that they said would be nearly impossible to get distracted. If you have Rescue Me, Toggle, Your To-Do List, Clear Focus, Stay Focused. These are the ones if you're on FaceTime and all of a sudden you're spending.
Facebook?
What did I say?
FaceTime.
FaceTime. Facebook. Let's just say Facebook, and you're on there too long. It'll come in and it'll cut you off, saying you've been on there long enough. Get back to work, right?
Yeah.
Because we can't let, if you're not watching it, you can lose an hour.
Yeah, I think people
Just like that.
People don't really know what the productivity zone is for their own personal.
Yeah, what is the red zone?
Yeah, what is it? So sometimes it's good to have out an hour help. You know, it's interesting as I was listening to this particular presenter and her going through this list, and it was pretty intense and pretty fast moving. I thought about 2 things. One is, what if you did not have that much time? If you were looking at your life in a finite way and you said, I just don't have time for all that, what would you do different than what you're doing today? How would you compress the essentials of what you want to do? I want to master my craft. That could be one piece of it. I want to master how to model my business in a simplistic way that resonates with just a wonderful group of people. They're mostly artists and creative people. I want to master that model. What would you do differently today? How complex would it be? And how complex you think it needs to be? It doesn't need to be that complex. That would be the one thing. The other thing I was thinking is that, it might sound a little funny, but bed where you sleep is for rest and calmness and regenerating your life, maybe cuddling, you know. But that is a sacred place. Most people are just not resting. It's never use a telephone in bed. Never watch television from bed. Boom, we're in trouble, right?
Yeah, I'm in trouble right now.
And it's hard to do, but you wake up in the morning, you reach over and your phone is there, so you go, oh, it's time to wake up. Oh, I woke up before my alarm, that's cool. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, whatever. Major no-no. Bless yourself for that sacred time. And I think that, you know, those are a couple of things that came to mind. Oh, those are great resources.
Yes.
They really are.
She did a nice job on that. All right, so let's look at the SWOTs here. Opportunities and threats. Opportunities, I'm not doing social media, I don't have time for social media. However, the world it's expecting us to do social media now. Also, I don't have time to connect with my people. I'm not praising enough, I'm not redirecting. What's in my head is not in their head, they don't know where I'm going. The live scoreboard, we're not communicating with them, their stats, and talking about them throughout the day. I mean, can you imagine going to a baseball game and the coach just watching the whole time, or not even watching, and having to talk about the game afterwards? Well, there's a problem. So here's our threat. Social media is also a threat, because if you're not competing, you're in trouble, right? And I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. It was 3 years ago, I wouldn't have said that.
Right.
And then connection must not start and stop something over and over again. We get known for that. Oh, and here they go. They just did this new thing, but they won't keep up with it. It'll be over in a couple weeks. So a threat of connection or talking about a score sheet. How many times we put scorecards in place and they do it for a month and then they just stop doing it, right? So I don't have the time to communicate with them or give them the attention they need. So let's talk about Zzor, because that's created an opportunity to connect with them in a good way. And you were talking about it with
Yes.
Steve too, Sam.
Zzor, I think there's so much genius that surrounds that particular app. And for those of you that haven't heard of it, Zzor is an app. It's actually it's an app that ties into many of the salon point of sale software that are out there. We use it connected to Millennium. It also connects to Shortcuts, MyCal. I'm not sure some of the other ones, but it does connect to SalonBiz. In fact, that was one of their first connections with SalonBiz and Millennium.
But it doesn't connect to
Salon Transcripts.
Salon Transcript, XTSTS,
Currently,
That's who you use.
which is what I use.
Right.
So basically, what I consider Zzor to be is real-time reporting from the software package. One of the things that Terry and I get questioned all the time, what are the go-to reports in Millennium? Because they know we're enthusiasts for Millennium as a software package. And so they're saying, what do I need to look at? Daily, weekly, monthly, and ongoing. And what I really have found is that Zzor offers the solution to that real time as it's happening throughout the day. And that really has value, because it takes all of the key metrics, all of the key indicators, and puts them on one screen.
Flash report.
Yeah.
Living and moving flash report. That's really cool.
Talk about the connection part. That's the most important.
And so from that, you've got the overall salon information, everything from your guest count to the guests that are in the business right now, the guests that haven't checked in yet, of the ones that have checked out, how many of those have, what's their average dollar per guest, their service dollar per guest, their take-home dollar per guest, what are the tickets that have both service and retail on them. So you can see if I've got 20 guests that have checked out and only 2 of them have both service and retail, that's an issue. So you're getting real-time information. The second thing is it also shows you service remaining, which is an important thing too, because I want to know whether it's time to go lay in the street or not, or whether the day is, when it all finishes out, is it going to be good news? Is it going to be great? And Zzor is set up in a simple red-green. Red is less than it was same day a year ago. Green is it's better. It's above what the base was from a year ago. And with just a button down at the bottom, you can go from current to week to date, to month to date, to quarter to date, to year to date, and you're not waiting. You don't have that wheel of death that's waiting while it resources the information. It's right there for you. The other thing is that you can look at it by person. So you hit one button on the screen and it shows you that same productivity per staff member. And the value in that is that we all know that this generation wants props. They want pats on the back. They want interaction and communication. Sometimes, we joke and we say they want to be congratulated for showing up for work today. And then they want more congratulations, and a bonus would be better for being on time. When old timers like me wants to say, well, you know what, that's what we pay you to do. We already give you a check for showing up to work, and don't ask me to have to. But anyway, today's common thought is we've got to find ways to congratulate them and ways to cheer them on. So what's cool about Zizor is that you can get specific real-time information about their performance today. And then with the touch of a button right inside the app, you can then send them a text message. We know they all live on their phones anyway, so all of a sudden in midday, you're sending a message saying, hey Sam, noticed you're having a terrific day. Your take-home dollar per guest is through the roof.
Nice.
Great job, keep it up.
You don't have to remember to do it, you just
Yeah.
instantaneously.
Right from that moment, right at your fingertips.
Right when you're evaluating, you can respond.
And the job of a good leader / coach is to be watching the team. You cannot be self-absorbed as a leader. You have to be team-oriented and really watching and paying attention. But it's interesting, I saw a commercial this morning. I'm not sure what it was, it's caught part of it, but it was it's a guy, the coach talking, and he's saying, do this and that, and all of a sudden they pan over to a table filled with like 14, 12-year-old or 15-year-old, and none of them are paying attention to what he's saying. And the point is, had he used that approach, instead of just saying, put down your phone, which is what the message of the commercial was, just no telephone, no smartphones, nothing. If had he had that option, he probably would have done better. And I just wanted to say that the reason I mentioned the STX is I want to hold my vendors accountable.
Right.
And say that when I get to, because I'm going to a 2-day conference to see and listen to the Zizor story, I want them to know that if this is really great for me, hey, what's your version of it? Or make this connection for me because I'm going to the next level. You're either with me or you're in my way.
Good for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Emma is at camp for 2 weeks. No phones allowed.
Yeah.
Can't be there. So that's going to be her longest without electronics.
The good news is that, and the other news is that could be as big a withdrawal for that person as being away from mom and dad.
Or more so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
More so.
we hug these more than we hug our spouses and our
Yes.
loved ones.
And the biggest thing that I can tell you, as much as I know that sometimes Terry can get frustrated with technology, it's only going to get more, it's not going to get less. The world is going to revolve around those smartphones. It's absolutely going to, and we can either be left behind or we can play.
I know you say I get frustrated because first of all, it's not okay just to know it. In an organization, you can't be the only one that uses all these tools and other people don't use them at all. If it's good for one, then it needs to be good for all. And then you figure out how to have everyone. There's nothing worse than you sit around a table and they go, I use that. I've never heard of that. I've used that. And that creates inconsistency. Stop.
Let's see, I want to give you an example of that. On the video you showed, there were at least 5 apps.
That you already use.
No, there were probably 3 to 4 of them that I'd never heard of before.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't think, and one of them, Brian was sitting across from us saying, oh yeah, that's my favorite too. I wasn't mad at Brian. I was excited there's something I don't know about and I can go find out and use it to my advantage. And that's what I want. I'm listening for
But
things.
as a leader, you
that I
want
can
it to
learn
be
from.
an advantage. If you're learning a new way of haircutting, you're going to keep it to yourself, you're going to spread it around to your team.
Definitely spread it around.
Okay, that's my point.
But also my job is to find the essence of what is there and say, you need to do it this way, or you only need to do this part of it.
Well,
A
there's an
leader is a
option.
curator.
That's right. And it's an option,
Agreed.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, someone could say, you could give the tool and they still don't want to do
Yeah.
it, but you expose them. And then you watch how they respond to that knowledge.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they, at some point, they're not a good fit for you anymore.
One of the things I find is that if I think about roughly, we have about 50 employees right now in our 2 locations. And if I really pay attention to what resonates with them, this rings a bell and this is today's hot, spicy thing or fun or whatever. But overall, the depth of engagement is not as deep as we may think it is for them when it comes to apps and social media and all. They mainly focus on Instagram and somewhat on Facebook and somewhat on Twitter. That's how they end up with their focus. So there's so many tools, it's like scissors. I must literally own 350 pairs, but I only use about 4 to 5 to get to where I want to get when I'm cutting it.
Okay, so what are the 4 or 5 apps we want to use at your salon? It becomes part of your culture, right?
Absolutely.
These
yeah.
are the 4 or 5 we're going to use. These are optional.
Yeah.
But these are the ones we're going to use as a team together to help us think the same way and help us move in the right direction. Good? All right, so let's have some time. Let's have some fun with this. So the vision, when you went to New York, what everyone has to realize is, yeah, you had a reputation. They're all thinking, well, that's San Mercado. Of course you can go to New York and start. No clients, nothing. Started raw.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not like that was a big decision for you,
And home,
right?
because this time around it was as much as Holly and I, my wife, and I together. We made a conscious decision sitting on the sofa to get off the sofa again and not just do the product thing, but to say we're going to get back in the game because we needed that expression and part of what to do and where to go. We didn't go to New York. We moved to New York to leave our world in Louisiana because we'd sold that business that we built, which had 187 people on payroll when we sold it. And so we had a significant business there. But we were just at a point where we felt like we were plenty young enough still to break it. You know, the old saying, if it ain't broke, break it. Mm-hmm. And we did that. And it's a very scary thing to do. I don't recommend it necessarily to everybody. However, I sit in a place today where I realize that survival is a real challenge. I mean, you get into survival mode, you better have a lot of tools and resources around you because you can be put down by it. And New York City, as I have found, not waiting for anybody. I had someone say to me recently, the last time I remember anybody that New York City was kind of waiting for might have been Michael Jackson. You know, or some great star, but New York City people, they're not waiting for anybody. They're not waiting for a new hairdresser that's really good because they got 1,000 of them or more. So I think that when we got there, it really, at first was we just observed, we were tourists. And then all of a sudden we had an opportunity to buy a salon that was failing in 2008, right in the middle of when the crash was. I mean, at the moment in July, which will be 9 years next month. That's when we bought the salon. And it was interesting because our son, Coley, said to us one night, right when we were getting ready to do the deal, he says, you know, he and I went in there at midnight. And he said, you know what, if you just wait 6 months, they're going to give you the salon. You know, he was right. I mean, he had that instinct about him on that call. We didn't wait. We bought it. We picked up a small piece of business and we began saying, we're going to do it the way we know how to do it. Because we know we've done it before, but that's all we know. And we were constantly meeting with the people that worked there. We began putting together modeling the things we did at Lockworks, the old company. And that's what we began to do. And we just kept drilling down and doing it. It was scary. We knew the basic thing was if you don't have the money to pay the landlord, you're out here. And we began to say, okay, we're seeing 21 people a day. That was maybe roughly where we were. We didn't even break even until we got to 42 people a day. So the beginning of the model of how do we survive was 42 people a day. How do we get those 42 people a day in the door? And we discovered, because a lot of people were losing their jobs, that we might get 42 in the door, but 7 or 8 or 9 of them didn't pay because they couldn't pay. And maybe there were previous customers or new customers. So we kind of shifted the model and said, let's just get them in the door, then we'll figure out how to get them all paid. And that was a rallying cry for everybody in the business. And yes, Holly and I contributed $8,000 to $12,000 a month out of our savings to keep the business alive. But what we did was we continued to look out into the future and saying, if we can ring that bell at that number of people and stay true to what we're doing, we can build a business here, because we saw the very early, parts of it. we put on blinders. We try not to listen to the naysayers. The couple of 3 or 4 people that have worked in the place before that were trying to say was, you're causing our owners to go out of business, or why did you buy the font and then take it over all that. We ignored it. And a couple of people were either asked to leave or left. So it was very, very challenging, but I'm a real believer is if you can figure out how to have a vision of success and model your way through survival into success, then you get to a comfortable space, somewhat where I think we are right at the moment, and you figure out, now how do I sustain this? So success, survival, success, sustainability. How do we sustain this? And that's kind of where we are right now.
So your leadership style, what would you say?
You're an adult, you're a responsible, well-trained professional, and we're contributing heavily to that. You're provided a fabulous workplace. You're given a fair and sometimes even above average wage and ability to make money. Show me what you can do. Show me that I can trust you. Show me that your belief in yourself and your belief in, I read somewhere this morning, ask not what you can do for your team, what your team can do for you, but what you can do for your team. Like Shaquille O'Neal, and I just caught it somewhere. I read that, and so I think that's what it is. I think for our style, Holly and I both is we're adults. We're trying to keep the drama down and focus on show us what you can do. Here's all the resources. We're going to give you all the resources. By the way, all the resources doesn't mean we're going to do everything they tell us. I want this color line, I want that hair product line. Absolutely not. Our job is to be true to our business model and empower you as a team. That's our leadership style.
Good. What are your standards?
Well, I've spent a lot of time personally going to school at night, being in New York City with some of the greatest, Columbia Business School, Fashion Institute of Technology. It's unbelievable resources. So I've been going mostly FIT and studying branding and marketing. And so the biggest thing I've focused on is just figure out who are we as a company now that we've moved into this zone where we're starting to see some reasonably good growth. And I decided that we were a caring archetype. That's who we are. That's the essence of who we are. There's a little bit of rebelliousness, and there are a few other things that each of us, meaning Holly and I, and then our leadership team, Jenna and Lisa, who is here creatively, and some of the other people around us, we're a caring organization, and that's really what we focus on, being compassionate. And so if you're caring and you want to be a great artist and do fabulous work, then exceptional customer service. In spite of the people who come in with a BlackBerry and an iPhone, literally, or 1 ear and they're on the phone and they're on the computer and they're Dragon Lady, or they're Ice Woman, and they're like this. They don't want to talk to you or anything. You love them anyway. You let them know that after 20, I'm actually picturing people that come in that are so intense. And in spite of what they may act like and what their energy is coming at you, don't become them. I've met hairdressers that work with super wealthy superstars and all, and they start acting like that customer. Well, guess what? You're not worth $300 million. They're worth $300 million. You're a service provider, and God, you're blessed with that. You don't have the complexities of being worth $300 million, worrying about your fame, worrying about whether you're on top still. You're a service provider, and you make great money, and people love you, and you're able to hug and touch people. Come on. This is a great life. Be who you are. And I think that, that the standard is excellence. Obviously, we have to do great work, but also care and love people in spite of what they may come at you with. And remember, there are 7 billion people on earth. Don't get worked up when Jill or Loretta or whoever said, I've had enough of you and I'm leaving. Okay. Go back, check it with the team. Did we really drop the ball? Did we really screw up? What did we do? No. Maybe she just having a big problem in her world. Maybe her standards are different than ours. You can only be in love. I'm in love with one person and married to one person. She encompasses a great deal of experience in life. That person and who she is similar to who the culture of my business is and what I love and embrace, which has to do with lots and lots and lots of people. Build on that. Don't try to be who you're not, and set your standards against that.
Outstanding.
That's what I think.
So what do you think the core values are?
Quality, fairness, honesty, trustworthiness, hope, and a belief in the moment, but also the future as a team, as a company. We're very transparent about what we're doing. We don't have what you'd call total open book management. I don't think a lot of times most people can understand what it means to see the core numbers of a business necessarily, but they certainly need to be aware of their own productivity and how that relates to, and they have a right to question and ask, well, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm paid, or whatever it may be. So I think, that's probably, we're as much like a family, I think, because of the leadership style that comes out of Holly and I, more than we've ever been. And those core values are about really trust and respect and love. And being accountable. You're going to be held accountable. If you make a mistake, you're going to get called out. You won't be called out in front of everybody, but if it's a bad haircut or a bad color, you're going to be pulled aside and say, you know what? That was a mistake. Show me where technically I can figure out why you did that. And I might call you out one-on-one with the client even if that's allowable. But I'm going to get to the core of where the breakdown is between what we've agreed upon and what we're doing here, because that's wrong. And I can't have you presenting our
brand like that. You're right.
Can't have it.
So the last two in our last 5 minutes is team building, and then the love of the game and the craft. I mean, you've definitely, even watching you yesterday, you have such a love of the craft.
I do. I mean, sometimes it's like when you're maybe a teenager and you fall in love with the beautiful girl 3 rows over and you're just like hopelessly thinking about her and it's, oh my God, what am I gonna do? She doesn't even know you're there, buddy. You're like, what the hell? I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, honest to goodness. I woke up, I'm in the hotel, I'm by myself. I realized I'm in my hotel, I'm doing a good show, look at this. And I'm thinking about my models. I'm thinking about the way I cut their hair. I'm thinking about all that. And so from the love of the game, it's a never-ending wrestling with understanding what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I think the biggest thing is just never stop trying to drill down into that essence of it when it comes to actually crafting.
Well, it's not the love of the money. It's
No,
the love of the craft.
no.
Right?
I mean, you want to be comfortable, you want to be safe, and you want to know that as the years go by, you can provide for everything that needs to be provided for within reason and all. But no, I mean, money is a scorecard. There are a number of them. But not money is certainly one. Great game of business type of thing. And it's very exciting and all that. But it's definitely not the only thing. But if a business doesn't have positive cash flow and not showing some growth above, inflation, you really need to be at 5, 7, 8% if possible, and looking at it with a long-term view. And that's really the job of the leader, again, looking at it, saying, do you realize that your business is flat? Flat is down. It's like saying on time is not being there at 9, it's being there 15 or 20 minutes before. That's on time. So, and then team building, I think, I'm tomorrow morning, I'll be at a cosmetology school with 2 of our leadership team of education. We'll be presenting to the school in Manhattan, the kids that work there, offering them a chance to come interview with us and become a part of our team. And I just think the team building, you have to have meetings. They have to be non-negotiable to a point. They have to be at the same time. Ours are the first Thursday of every month. They start at 9 a.m. They go approximately to 11 a.m. We serve breakfast, so when the kids walk in, when everybody walks in, there's a breakfast set up, a buffet for everybody. And we tell them the same message, and we keep speaking to the same things over and all. And we're always trying to make sure that we have an eye on the horizon, but we're grounded in the moment. And that's how I think we build a strong culture.
Perfect.
Simple.
Yeah, we're so blessed
Thank you.
to have you. How cool is that? Brian, how'd we do? Any comments or?
Comments on Facebook. Joseph Novak, yesterday was wonderful. So glad it still matters to all of you. Phil Battaglia said, hey y'all look wonderful together. Teresa Ptashik, wonderful knowledge. Frank Zito, awesome. Login comments on Facebook.
Any questions for us or Sam?
I'm not seeing any questions at this point in time, no.
Hey, you guys. Thank you, Joseph. It was great seeing you yesterday.
It was like a little reunion.
Yeah, and I think part of it shows that there's a core group of people and you always kind of revolve around each other. And, times, even when you have hard times, even with each other, you have problems, you still work through it because the core of what you believe in your friendship and what you expect of the other person, you never let them down. It's like, I read once about a parent that their child had done just the most awful crimes. But they said, I'm still the parent. I still love that child that I knew was a little, and I'm trying to never lose touch with that. Friendship's the same way. You always go back, and you told me, go back to when you last agreed. Reconstruct your relationship from when you last agreed, and you'll probably find a way forward.
I can't remember the first time I heard it, but I remember when someone said, and I think this applies to PSC and to you and Holly, our execution might not be perfect every day, but our intentions are perfect every day.
Yeah.
Our intentions to serve, our intentions to grow people and make a difference. And that's what we're most proud of.
So a quick question from Philip. He asked, how do you get your team to listen to your guidance?
I think you state it over and over again and let them know that this is what I need you to do. These are the changes you need to make. And this is what's going to help you. This is what I'm seeing as your coach. I think if you try to have a big talk or hint to it, it's going to be a struggle.
There've been a few things that have been floating around in my mind as I've listened today to everything. One is that leadership or leading people is about influence. John Maxwell says that it's about influence. And he says nothing more, nothing less. I think of what Win Claybaugh says, that you lead by example. By example, by example, by example. And when we think about that, especially in our business, where a lot of times you still are behind the chair. And so you can't lead one way verbally and then behind the chair demonstrate something else. And that's tough because we kind of get lost in whatever part of that world we were a participant in. And you're no longer just a participant. If you're an owner, if you're a leader, you can't ever just be a stylist again. You're a stylist that's the owner. And people are going to watch, and your people, your team, your tribe is going to watch you in the way that you serve. And those actions speak louder than words.
Well, Lisa said that yesterday. It's such a joy for her to watch you do hair and be by your side. She's watching you, even after all these years, right?
Yeah.
And you're her leader, and your mentor and her coach.
Yeah.
And
I'm having a lot of fun doing it too. They're watching. I hope they're watching. My answer to that question specifically is to have certain structures in your business, like the meeting at the first Thursday of the month. Hold everybody accountable to that meeting. Say a few things over and over again. They're who we are, what we believe in, what we value. Remind people why you're here. You chose to take this job, and we chose to hire you. So, and the people that don't attend the meetings are constantly late, or those things. Counsel them, talk to them about it. At some point, have the courage to say, as Holly and I had to, and our leadership team a year and a half, 2 years ago, we had to finally say to someone, this is not working, you have to leave. And the person was so stunned because they were generating over $200,000 a year. You could see it, she was stunned. What are you telling me? And I was like, I'm telling you, you're fired. You haven't earned the right to be here. That courage to do that is if you can't do that, you probably shouldn't be trying to own the business.
Yeah.
Or working in a very small area, with just a few people, your team, a tight team. Because life isn't all about, this is great, and hugging kisses. It's about, hey, this is what we're going to do. And you're going to get more resistance often than you're going to get agreeability from people. So that's what I would do. I would set things up that are very structured and see who follows and does those things. They don't have to do it perfect and all the time, but if they're really pushing back on you, it's like, maybe they're not really a team member. Maybe they're kind of playing like it. Maybe they're having an affair.
Thanks, Philip. Great question.
Thank you, everyone. Sam, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
guys,
That's
I
a
love you to
thrill.
death.
Love you more.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Oh, we see it.
Hold on, we're not done yet.
We're not done? We're still filming?
Yeah,
Okay, well,
Wow.
I'm trying.